Welcome to the November 25th Shield call. You guys can see the slides, I hope. Um, we've got the usual agenda, so let's jump right in. From an HL7 perspective, we are doing ballot reconciliation from the lab order workflow, so clinical order workflow, Universal Fire Report and the European Lab Report. The latter is not HL7 International, but is related. So if folks are interested in those topics, I listed the calls here. They are also all in the HL7 call calendar, including that European Lab Report call. The January ballot, the pools are open for sign up till December 18th. The ones that I think might be of interest to Shield is obviously Fire R6, which is the first normative ballot. US Core version 9, reflecting the last US CDI changes. And then electronic initial case reporting, both the Fire IG and the CDA-based IG and the reportable condition, I mean, the reportable response, the reportability response IG are all in there. And then MedMorph Fire IG cancer reporting is also open. There's a couple other ones, obviously, but these are the ones I thought might be of interest to this community because they're related to laboratory stuff. And then ballot opens December 19th and closes the January 19th so that we don't get bored over the holidays. This is always my least favorite ballot cycle. Anyway, does anybody else have any other HL7 related announcements? I should add.
I think a lot of the outputs from the EU Lab Semantic Working Group are going to the HL7 Europe meetings next week. Is that in Cologne? Is that the same thing
Yeah.
you're talking? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I'm talking
All right.
about the January ballot, the
Okay. Yeah.
HL7
I think they have.
international ballot.
I think they have a whole day agenda to feed into the requirements into the HL7 Fire Europe group.
December 1st through the 7th. Is that right?
5th, I think.
1st to the 5th. Yeah, you're right. Okay. So maybe on the December call, we can get some updates on that. Okay, let's do it this size. Any other HL7?
Not. There won't be updates from me. Someone else will have to do that because I'm not allowed to go because my organization sucks.
Okay. Yeah, I think Rob Housam, who usually attends these calls, is attending that, so he might be
He
able to.
will. Yes,
Yeah.
he will. Yeah.
So I don't get to go either. I would like to go too. Um, any other HL7 announcements? Not. I'll go to the federal announcements. Welcome back. The only thing that I am aware of is the ASTP annual meetings date has been set. I should put the date here, so I will. I think it's sometime in February, but I guess we can. I'll make sure it's here. Does anybody have any other federal announcements? Not hearing any. Any other announcements? I'm not hearing any. Um, okay, upcoming meetings. I guess that would be the HL7 working group Europe working group meeting. Uh, and then the HL7 virtual is in January, the last week in January, which is the 26th to the 30th. Any other upcoming meetings that we should put here?
Snowman's April meeting.
Okay. That's the business meeting, right?
Yeah,
April, when to
12th to
when?
16th,
In,
Vienna.
okay. I guess the other one would be the IHE European Connectathon. And that's also in Vienna, I think. I don't know. I'll add the dates. And I'll add links to all of these. Um, any other ones? Oh, hang on, I gotta. Samantha, you're in twice. Okay, got it. All right. Any updates from recent meetings? I don't know, Pam. Yes, you were at AMIA. Do you want to talk about the Shield presentation and how that went and how AMIA went in general?
Hi, sure. Um, I think the attendance was modest at our presentation. It was really kind of hard to judge the overall attendance of the way the design of the hotel was in two different towers on either side of the conference room. So I think just our was modest. The people that attended were engaging, and there was some sidebar conversations that were held over the following days as people could, fit in a meetup with me for a cup of coffee and that. We did have one person in attendance who has not been supportive of the terminologies of LOINC in particular for many years now. And so she wanted AMIA to give equal representation time next year to something else. I texted her through the meeting app of, I'd love to talk more about, what she thinks is missing and just trying to be a goodwill gesture. I never heard back from her. I doubt that she's going to enter the app after now that the meeting's over. So, but I appreciated being able to share the stage with Julia and Jenna. There was a toss up on our actual people that could be there. Marjorie had a medical condition that restricting her from flying. So that was last minute. And then Steve Emmerich wasn't able to participate with us this time, even though he was going to be our moderator. But it was the same, so we had 5 people planned. So it was great that 3 came. We just distilled it down, and we had meetings prior to that, just one-on-ones to make certain that the talking points were in. Did Julia happen to send in the final deck?
I don't think so. I don't think
Okay.
I've seen the final deck.
Okay. All right. And I know I had mentioned to Andrea I would send it in, and then I thought, well, maybe Julia's already done that. So I thought I would ask
I
first.
don't think so. I can check what date I have on the slides I do have. I have 10/29/2025.
No, she changed it even the day of the presentation. So,
Okay,
yeah,
so
11/17
so
is
if
going to
you
be the
could
most
send
recent
that, that'd be
one.
great just for.
Yeah, she did add towards the end. We hadn't thought about the recruiting aspect for Shield, so she did add at the end information on getting involved just to see if we could get some people to
Awesome.
be in the bandwagon. So that was good. And overall, the tone of the presentation was, you know, hey, we've come some way, but we have a ways to go, and here's where the gaps are. This was mainly just kind of like the barriers that are and
Right.
observations from a variety of different from Marjorie's aspect, from Jenna's aspect, and Juliet asked me to speak about UDI, which was definitely a barrier for me. I had to learn all about it because I haven't witnessed it. So that's it.
Well, thank you
Next
guys
year,
for presenting. So,
yeah, yeah, you're welcome. And next year it's in, I believe it's Dallas Fort Worth area,
okay.
November 7th to 11th.
Okay.
I don't,
Are the submissions open yet? Not yet, right?
I don't think so, but it shouldn't be too long.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on it. Maybe, especially if that person gets back to you, maybe, it wouldn't be bad. But, um, okay. Any other people were at AMIA that want to talk about AMIA and how it went?
It was a very good conference. Jim Case was there. He might have other comments. A ton of topics around AI and large language models, and yeah, a lot of focus. Go ahead, Jim.
Oh, I was just going to say that, yeah, there was a lot of talk about AI models, a lot in different domains. So, for instance, there was AI models looking at nursing. There was AI models looking at reducing clinical documentation burden. There were also some discussions. For those of you who may not know, Chris Shute won the Morris Collin Award, and there was a session with him, Jim Semino, and Mark Musin, who were all colleagues together in the early days of
Oh, nice.
standardization and terminology, discussing the current limitations of AI in the context of semantic models. And that was a very interesting discussion, going a little bit down memory lane, but also showing that without having some sort of a standard representation in order to train AI models, we're always going to have these issues with
Yeah.
with incorrect or imprecise AI responses, which was encouraging for those of us that work in terminology.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Whoops, sorry, that's not what I meant to share. I meant to go to see what's going
Yeah.
on in the chat.
I think it's Morris Collin. Is it
Yeah.
Collin?
Yeah, it's Morris Collin.
Yeah, and I realize, yeah. Thank you. Oops. I just can't.
It's EN.
Yeah, I see that. I unfortunately, the new policy doesn't let me copy out of the chat.
Oh,
So, yeah,
oh, that's so helpful.
yeah, it is, isn't it? So, and I keep forgetting, so I, try to copy something and then something completely different pastes in what I had anticipated. So, oh well. All right, that's great. Very cool. So I'm glad you guys had a good conference.
There was
So,
an interesting vendor meeting that I was invited to for Walters, Clyer, whatever, the
Walters
publishing,
Kluwer.
Walters Kluwer, yeah, the who now owns HLI. Anyway, they were talking about value sets and the challenges in developing, maintaining, and distributing value sets. And so, but I don't know that I can add anything. They were mainly looking at what are the challenges that people have in creating and maintaining their value sets because they have a value set tool.
Mm-hmm.
But there were some interesting expositions of what the challenges are, and everybody admitting that these are the challenges, but we don't really have a solution to a lot of them because a lot of them are implementation challenges as well as the creation of the value
Right.
sets themselves.
Right.
Was there any discussion on like fire servers and terminology servers? Because I know that works in some parts of healthcare, but not others. I was just curious if that came up.
Oh, well, fire servers came up in a lot of different contexts. But I don't recall that there's anything specifically in this discussion.
Cool. All right. All right, then updates from the different groups within Shield. So the steering committees first, we are still looking for a patient advocate participant in the steering committee, if anybody knows of anybody. And wouldn't be bad to add another professional organization representative. So I have reached out to ADLM, but so far I haven't heard back. We did approve the roadmap document, a new version of the roadmap document to finally address the ASTP-ONC comments. So that's been published. We're going through an LRI review document that the Standards and Vocab Work Group pulled together. And one suggestion that came out of it was to potentially work on a national compendium of some sort so that we have a better idea of what tests are being done. But that's a pretty big ask, I think. So we'll see where that goes. And then we're working on collecting all the qualitative result values that are in use, and we're going to compare them to concepts available in SNOMED CT and potentially create some submissions for those where we find gaps. So that's one of the actions that we committed to doing on the steering
Hey,
committee.
Ricky,
Yeah.
2 questions. Well, one, Andrea Hobby asked, who did you reach out to at ADLM in the chat? Do you remember?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's whoever I was working with for the webinar. So that might definitely not be the right person, but I had asked to forward to appropriate people. But if somebody has a good ADLM contact, I'd be happy to reach out
Sorry,
to them.
you can forward it to me if that's helpful.
Okay.
I work
I will
at
do that.
ADLM.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay. Excellent. We'll do that. Can you put your email in the chat just to make sure I use the right one? That'd be great.
And then the second
yeah,
question.
go ahead.
Oh, careful, it's gonna fly right out the other ear. Oh, your comment about gathering a survey and finding the non-numeric alpha responses to check against possible SNOMED submission. I mean, hasn't this been done several times over the last 5-7 years? Do people feel it's still inadequate?
I don't know. I mean, I think it may have been overcome by events, but I personally haven't seen those lists and if there are any gaps. I know bioMérieux has provided their set a couple times.
Yeah, when we
Okay.
had the on-site meeting at FDA back in, I think, was it 2018 or 2017?
I think it was 2020, actually, when we actually were talking about being
Yeah.
able to pull those value sets together. So, I mean, I think we talked about it, doing it in 2018, and then in 2020, we kind of said, well, we should do it, and then yeah, we know what
So,
happened.
as I was
Yeah.
saying, when we were at the FDA on-site, that was when the kind of the discussion originated in bioMérieux and Abbott had provided their qualitative test result values. And I know Jim, you were there, and Ricky and others, that originally were there some gaps in SNOMED, that those could be created, but I don't know if they were ever created for things like gray zone and other things. And so since there's some new tests that have emerged since then, we want to get an updated list, as Ricky was mentioning. And then also, we're also seeing if potentially, now that there's like tools like Cosmos that Epic has that represents half the patients in the country, if potentially we look at two other types of non-numeric result values to make sure that those are available to and see what people are using, and potentially if there's opportunity for standardization.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then the steering committee talked about maybe like trying to find a better way to raise visibility, and so maybe creating a vision paper 2030 that we can like maybe outline a vision of, you know, shield supported activities that are identified in, or I actually write a paper where we look at the ASTP ONC lab data interoperability report and their proposed solutions for some of the barriers that are that Shield can do something about, and highlight that, and find a way to get potentially more support to get more work done. So those were the topics the steering committee has talked about. Our next call is December 3rd. So we'll keep you updated, and the minutes are always on Confluence. These are the link to the latest minutes. For the working groups, the IBD Data Hub working group's been on hold since they don't have any federal partners participating at the moment. So they really haven't met for quite a while. So kind of stuck. The leader work group, we're doing monthly meetings, but then we had a couple extra ones in between. We did receive feedback from the steering committee on the white paper. Some were, you know, smaller changes that we are going to make, and then Jim pointed out that the white paper is kind of wordy and lengthy and everything. But I think publishing the white paper before 2025 is probably more important than having it be concise, because the white paper is just going to be a background paper that we could reference in articles pointing to it, which those articles obviously will be shorter. So, and we did talk about that on the steering committee, and then sent it back to the leader work group to kind of do those other changes that came from the steering committee review, and we'll send it back. We were working with the Deloitte group under an FDA contract on creating a tool that could be used to author leader content, and I guess that development is now ongoing under a VA contract. I'm not entirely sure, but there is a integrated knowledge in engagement community that right now I think their focus is on cardiovascular diagnostics. So it's broader than the laboratory domain space, but they are using this tool Comet to author their domain concepts. And it's kind of like a knowledge representation, formalized knowledge representation model. And one of the Comet code is publicly available on GitHub. And so one of the things we were gonna do is see how much of the bioMérieux Livet content that they changed, that they made available for that team has actually been put in there, and if we could, utilize that as pilot outcome in a way. And then we're still reviewing example Livet entries and considering other leader elements that should be supported, which basically is additional info that's available in package inserts, but it would be great to have that in structured format. And I'm linking here to a Google document that we've put out, and I've kind of sent it out to CSTE, for epidemiologists when they're going through and onboarding laboratories for new lab tests. They often do a package insert review, and so if they could put what they find and the codes they assign to that particular commercially available lab test, then we could crowdsource some of the Livet content, at least for reportable conditions. So that was kind of the idea behind this Google document. And then we're kind of talking about what's the scope for leader. Are we supporting, primarily result interpretation and clinical treatment applications, or is it, are we looking at a broader lab domain focus for leader specifically? And then we've talked about how to represent UDI and HL7, and we're kind of pulling together something that we hope to be able to present at the CDC forum in January. The exact date for that CDC forum is has not been set yet, as far as I know. And thanks, Andrea, for putting the link to CSTE in there. It's the Council of State and Territorial Epidemiologists. Yeah. And our next call is December 2nd. So we can report some more on our next All-Shield call. Community and branding working group. I don't think Eric is on, but Kevin is on, right? You want to talk about it?
Looks like you're
Oh,
muted.
and it turns out I'm on mute. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah, no. Let's see. So we've done our shield, the review of the survey most recently. But so our next steps are really to take a review of the upcoming conferences for the next year, to see which ones might be good to attend, to see if there's any themes that we could lend our content to. And then in addition to that, we're going to get back to updating our LinkedIn page and just getting some general communications out about our meetings, hopefully trying to recruit some more people to our effort.
Awesome. I've linked Eric's email here, so the meetings, since it's only two people, he's coordinating them. They're not currently up to date on the calendar on the Confluence page. So if you're interested in participating, reach out to Eric and he'll make sure he'll coordinate with your availability as well. And then last but not least, the standards and updates and vocabulary working group. Steve Emmerich helped us co-chair that group for a while, but he has to step down from that position. So we are looking for a new co-chair to support Julia Skapik, who will continue to be a co-chair of that. But in light of this and also the holidays coming up, we've decided to cancel the meetings through the end of 2025 and hopefully get started with a new co-chair, new topics in January of 2026. So if you're interested in standards and vocabulary work and you want to, lead that effort, reach out to either me or Andrea or Julia, and we can make sure everybody gets connected. So we don't have a next call scheduled for this working group. And think of it this way, if you're co-chairing, you get to pick the call times. So, um, so hopefully we find somebody to keep working on that. Now I've got open mic. So any other topics, anything anybody else wants to talk about?
I see Stan joined. I don't know if you want to give any highlights of what might be coming in the next link release or. Recent meetings.
Sorry, Andrea, who's that directed to?
Stan, I saw Stan
Okay.
joined. So I
Oh,
didn't know if you want to talk
yeah,
about anything coming up.
I didn't know it was, I couldn't tell if you said Isa or me, and I didn't know if Isa was on the call.
No, Eves is not on. I said Stan joined.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're
Okay.
here.
So, I mean, the major thing that's going on is that we're, reviewing and matching concepts to add to the next release of the SNOMED ontology. There's the all kinds of routine work that's going on for normal editions that people are requesting. But in terms of major efforts, we're working especially to get pretty complete on laboratory data, and then going to meet with the SNOMED team, and Jim's here, he can comment as well on what we want to do next. The things that we've been working on most recently are all of the coagulation studies, coagulation deficiency and coagulation factors and all of those kind of things. Scott Campbell has been working on a lot of things and has been a great help, particularly reviewing staining techniques and antigen antibody reaction, things that are detected by using exogenously created antibodies, etc. And we're meeting weekly and talking about things that come up and places where we need to have a common understanding to make the mapping and the transformation of the data from LOINC codes to the SNOMED extension. So the big issues that I know about. So this isn't a roadmap yet because we haven't jointly agreed, but we'd like to start getting into the common clinical LOINC codes, vital signs, and then there are a lot of other common kinds of things about, pain scales and other things. And there's been a lot of work. Rob McClure is working very hard on the document architecture concepts, and that would be another potential opportunity in terms of architecture, if you will, or infrastructure. We also, an important thing for both lab and for clinical is to be able to represent the binding of value sets to coded concepts to coded concepts and like. So that's another consideration. Probably a lot of other things that I'm forgetting. We're
Mention the antigen tests you mentioned on the link, Hull. I know you put immunology techniques, but I don't know if folks
yeah,
realize what that means.
yeah. There
Because it has it might have widespread impact to chemistry and immunology type tests.
yeah. So we're talking about the best way to represent immunologic tests, and a lot of things in LOINC say, the name of something, a cell type or a substance or an organism, and then antigen, and then the rest of the LOINC code. The question that we've raised and that we're discussing is, what do we gain from saying antigen there? And it's specifically in the context where that it's specified in the method as an immune method, as immune, yeah, whether it's the
Immunoassay or immune
EIA
stain,
or
yeah.
yeah, and because essentially what antigen says, if you say, for instance, Neisseria gonorrhea antigen, it just means that some part of the organism reacted to the antibody that you're using to test for it. And so if you know it is an immunologic test, sort of saying antigen becomes redundant. And then when we transfer it to the SNOMED extension, then it's a less direct connection between the thing that you're testing for and because basically what it would say is that if we keep antigen in there, then the LOINC concept would map to Neisseria gonorrhea antigen in SNOMED, and then SNOMED would know that gonorrhea antigen relates to gonorrhea the organism, but it doesn't add anything to know that, because in the context of the immunologic study, that's already known and understood. So it's more direct if we just link the LOINC code in the component to the organism or the substance or the protein that you're testing for. But that's a discussion we need to discuss further, and came up as a discussion topic in the laboratory LOINC committee meeting last
Okay.
week. So
Just a couple things as I was thinking about that too, as you're describing it again. Are those changes going to be in immunohematology, since those are immune-based tests and techniques for
it doesn't matter whether they're hematology or not. It's whether you're using an antibody to detect something.
so it would be immunohematology or transfusion, because Pam asked that.
It would.
Because those are different, so that's what I was asking.
It's the same situation. Yeah.
Okay. And then also, as I was thinking, you were talking about with the gonorrhea example, there's a lot of assays that detect gonorrhea and chlamydia or multiple organisms, will those be mapped to multiple SNOMED organisms then too?
The things that have, yeah, the things that have multiple analytes, those get mapped to the individual concepts as well. In the component, they're just like they are in LOINC, but then those things in SNOMED get get connected to the individual concepts in SNOMED.
Okay, so if there's like 3 different organisms by a single assay that says like it's detected or not detected, then it'll be mapped to all 3, even though you may not be able to tell which it is.
It's done exactly the same way as it's done in LOINC. So yeah, you're right. What you know is that it was positive for one of the 3. And it depends on the particular assay, as you know. There's some of them,
Right.
yeah. But
If they're
some
separate,
assays
then
just
yeah,
say
that's
positive or
easier.
negative, and you don't know which one, and others say, which organism they found basically, or what thing
Right.
they found.
We have
Yeah.
different modeling approaches to address those.
Yeah.
So if you have one where you have multiple agents that you're mapping for, and you only get detected, not detected, and you don't know which one it is, that's modeled differently than when you have one where each individual component is measured separately, even though it's in a combined test.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot of different patterns in infectious diseases, and as you know.
So and we've talked kind of about things that affect a lot of codes, but I mean, there are really interesting questions that come up, that are sort of one-off kind of questions because they're not a pattern that fits a whole bunch of other things, but yeah, they're just really interesting things that come up, and so we work through those things as we're going along too. So, but I'm not sure what else to say. What else to say about that? The other thing we're doing in LOINC directly is holding regular calls now, working on a new concept model for representing the results of surveys and assessments and questionnaires, PHQ-9, psychosocial, psychometric things. Basically, everything that sort of is structured around asking questions and getting answers and then scoring and predicting things based on the answers to the questions. And so that's one of the things that we're doing. It's sort of the first real test of making more explicit and specific concept models for domains within LOINC. And so that's important ongoing work as well. And I already mentioned we're also, Rob McClure is leading weekly meetings about the document architecture, document ontology. So
Great. Thanks, Dan. That was really helpful.
well, you're welcome. Sorry to be late today.
No worries. No worries. It's a small crew today. I'd like to keep skipping past this because I still haven't done anything about it, but I don't want to drop it. So I'll be right here. But we don't have FDA participation at the moment, so can't do much on that. So then we can just take a brief look at the upcoming calls. So normally it's the 4th Tuesday, but not next month. So next month we'll meet on the 16th. But then we're back to the 4th, which would be January 27th and February 24th. So we might want to think about, I guess it is during lunch. Well, it overlaps a little bit with a quarter. So we might want to think about the January 27th date. So if people can think about if the week before might be better for folks. and have an answer back on the December call, that would be great. And then we usually have special topic calls on the second Tuesday. But we don't have any upcoming topics. So if you have any topics that you think would be of interest to Shield and you want to present to the Shield group, December 9th, January 13th, or February 10th are all open at the moment. So if we don't have topics, we'll cancel them. So most likely you'll see a cancellation for the December 9th call, because so far nobody's come up with a topic. All right, that's all I have for November. Thanks, everybody. And if you're celebrating Thanksgiving, have a good Thanksgiving.
Thanks. Thanks, Ricky.
Thank you, you too.
Thanks all.
Thanks, you
Bye.
too.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Bye.
Bye.